Hi guys, since the local elections, the Conservatives have tried every excuse under the sun to explain why they lost so many council seats. Governments don't do well during midterms, turnout was low, the message wasn't breaking through, the war in Ukraine, and even the pandemic was used by some MPs interviewed on TV and the radio. But something you're going to hear more about is how a vote for reform is a vote for Labour. It's clear that Nigel Farage's outfit split the right wing and cost the Tories big. But scaremongering about reform, as we'll see in this clip, will only make things worse for the Conservatives.
I think it's very, very clear that where reforms stand, where people vote for reform, they get more Labour politicians. And in a democracy, if that's what people want, then no one would take away that choice. But we should be very clear about what the outcome is going to be. A vote for reform increases the odds of a Labour government that's likely to put up your taxes, isn't going to support pensioners in the way that this government hasn't committed to the triple lock, is going to put huge costs on people because of their desire to rush ahead into net zero and impose costs on people, including, the cars that you were talking about before I came on air. All of those things are made more likely if people vote for reform. So that's a choice people will have to make. But it's very clear what the consequences are that you get.
And look, that's actually a very difficult point to argue against in terms of how our democracy works. But doesn't it send a clear message to the Conservatives that these, and the vast majority, sort of former Conservative voters, if you like, that they're not happy with the direction the party has taken?
You shouldn't be in a democracy if you're not listening to the voters, and the Conservatives, have to earn and fight for every vote. I think that from the people I talk to, and as a member of Parliament, you talk to people all the time, and some of them say, look, we're voting reform for these reasons. And it is typically a frustration about the ability of this country to control its own borders. Now,
They don't get it. They don't get it. Even at this stage, after losing over 400 seats, they still don't get it. The majority of people are concerned about the cost of living crisis. And what you're doing is you're focusing not on that, but on immigration. Now, some voters are concerned about immigration, but they're concerned about it because you guys, the Conservative Party, have weaponized it. They started out on this path back about 10 years ago. With Theresa May, remember the toxic environment. They thought, okay, what we'll do is we'll focus on immigration, and we can use as a tool against the Labour Party. Labour are weak on immigration, we're strong on immigration. But the consequence of that was doubling down, and it opened the door for the likes of Reform UK to come in. And what is Reform UK saying? Well, we'll actually do a better job than the Conservatives. Will they? Well, we'll never know because they're never going to be in government. But they don't have to actually have real policies because they know they'll never be in government. So the Conservatives have created this issue for themselves. And instead of actually thinking, okay, somebody who's deeply concerned, I'm trying to avoid using offensive language here, but somebody who's deeply concerned about immigration, are they going to vote for a party who they think has failed on immigration, or are they going to vote for a party who like Nigel Farage's Reform UK, who do you think will do something about immigration? Because the more the Conservatives talk about immigration, the more they're pushing people in the direction of Reform UK. Because think about it for a moment. Somebody who's going to vote in the election, they're not going to say, I'm going to vote for the Conservatives because I don't want Labour getting in. They're going to vote for reform because they want to punish you, because you're saying we're going to do something about immigration and you haven't done anything in their eyes. It would make more sense for the Conservatives to focus on the cost of living crisis, because then they could actually eat into Labour's territory. There's a better chance there than trying to double down, because there is no other party apart from Labour, but there is no other party on the left that would eat into Labour's position on, for example, the cost of living crisis. The Workers' Party is neither here nor there when it comes to the general election. So the Conservatives are in a perfect position to say, okay, let's implement policies now that would help deal with the cost of living crisis. And this would protect us on the left, on the centre, But no, what they're doing instead is focusing on immigration, where they're constantly losing votes to a more extreme party that will never be in power. It's an insane strategy. Why are they doing this? Honestly, I don't know why they're doing this. It doesn't make any sense from a political strategist's point of view. Somebody who cares about immigration is not going to vote for the Conservatives. They're going to vote for Reform UK. The general public are not like that. The general public will respond to something positive. If you implement a positive policy now that really helps people, they will respond in a positive way. But you can't do that with immigration, because you know that you can't stop the boats. You know you can't bring immigration down to zero. You know that putting in these types of blocks on immigration will never satisfy the more extreme. They will always vote for a more extreme party. And as I said in other videos, Reform UK are in a perfect position because they know they will never be in power, so they can promise the sun, moon and stars. Voters are going to vote for them because some of them think Reform will win and will influence the Conservative Party, or it's just a protest vote. It makes no sense to me why the Conservatives are doubling down on immigration and the culture wars and stuff like that. If you do, let me know in the comments.